Okay, welcome back to the Adventure Within channel. My name is Andrew Fritz. I'm a clairvoyant, healer, and meditation teacher. And in this video, I'd like to talk about clairaudience and specifically communicating with baby beings. For starters, we'll talk about clairaudience. What is that? Clairaudience translates to clear hearing. It's your fifth chakra, or your throat chakra ability to hear well and hear energy and communicate with beings such as spirit guides and really any beings that really know how to communicate with you in this way. Um, so that's clairaudience, and then baby beings. What is that all about? Because in spirit there isn't really an age. There's not really gender. I mean, beings can present themselves in many different ways, such as being more masculine or more feminine or more youthful or whatever it is. But there's really not like an age or gender or anything like that in spirit. So what is this, what is baby beings all about? Really, it's just an incoming soul, a soul that's in preparation for, they're about to start a lifetime here. There's a mother that's pregnant and, that baby being has a mock-up to be born through that mother and enter the world and start a lifetime here. So we call those baby beings. And the reason I bring this up because my wife is pregnant, and it's been kind of interesting and fun, just kind of being psychic and starting to interact with our daughter to be. And we recently we got genetic testing done, which is pretty cool. Now, at like week 10 in the pregnancy, and I'm sure it was much different in the past, but now it seems like you can um, learn more quickly, and you can get a genetic test done where you kind of have a sense of, oh, is there any risks as far as the health of the baby body, and then you can also get the gender. And so we got that done and kind of got the confirmation. But I knew this prior to even getting the test done. And the way that happened was kind of a combination of clairvoyance and clairaudience. Um, I use both, and I like using both. So on a clairvoyant level, which is clear seeing, seeing and reading energy clearly and with neutrality, and you can see colors and symbols and mental image pictures. When I usually see beings that don't have bodies, and that's exactly what you are. You're a being, but if you're watching this, then you probably have a body. Um, and so we're talking about beings, out of body beings, or whatever you want to call them. They just don't have physical bodies. When I see them, they typically will show up as a ball of light, kind of like an orb, or sometimes they'll show up in more of a form, where they look like they might have a certain shape or figure that looks kind of like I could look like anything, but usually in, like a human form or just depend on, what the type of being I'm interacting with. But in this case, communicating with our daughter to be, kind of just seeing her as a ball of light and kind of a specific color. So whenever I kind of see her, I kind of have I almost kind of know it's her because it's just there's a certain, um, I don't know, just a knowing, but there's an energy signature, I guess. So you just kind of have a knowing of that. And then usually she'll kind of come off to the side of my throat. And then I'll start to hear. I'll start to hear words, or I'll hear a phrase or a couple phrases. And so pretty early on, I already kind of knew, what the gender was. She told me right off the bat. I was like, okay. Um, Told me her, what's the first name that she preferred. And because my wife and I, like most people, we had some names picked out for a boy or a girl, and then and we were kind of set on one for a girl, and then she comes and says, I'd be willing to take that name, but this is the one I would prefer. And I thought, oh, okay, interesting. And it's really, I was like, I'd rather just kind of go with what she would prefer because it's not my name. It's not my body life. This is for her. And so we just kind of decided, okay, yeah, let's go if that's the one she prefers. And she kind of broke it down for us a little bit, where it's like, okay, here's the preferred name, here's the a second name that she would prefer, and then the third name that she was okay with was the one that we picked out. So we could have easily chose the name that we picked out, but we just kind of went with the first name that she preferred. So we went that route, kind of got a thanks for that from her. And then we got more information. She's came to me and talked about, activities and things that she's looking forward to experiencing. And it's kind of cool to see some of those things that she already wants to, or at least to hear. I've kind of seen in her these what she's kind of communicating some of the activities because really they are activities that I also enjoy. So that's kind of cool. Um, and that's always a thing, this is our first kid, and so I think a probably part of being a parent, I imagine, is also there might be things you do that aren't really your favorite hobby or activity, but it might be theirs, and you kind of still go along with that. But it's interesting that a lot of the things that she's brought up that she's really excited to experience are things that kind of both of us already have done and enjoy, and so that'd be a lot of fun. Um, And so I'm just kind of, wow, this is kind of cool to just be able to have this experience. For a lot of people, they don't have, we all have this ability. It just they might be unconscious to it. And so it's all about the physical. And so they're missing out on the whole spiritual side of things. And that, yeah, you can actually see and hear and communicate with your, um, you know, child to be, your baby to be before they're even actually born and in this world. And obviously, it takes a little while for them to learn the language and communicate with you in that kind of way. But yeah, you can definitely communicate with them prior to birth, which is pretty awesome. And, kind of learn some more stuff that, oh yeah, she's got some karma with my wife, not really myself. So I don't know, I'm just like really excited to become a father and to just kind of watch this all unfold. We were at the hospital the other day. We've been at the hospital a few times actually, but there's one where this lady, we were kind of in the lobby or waiting area before the appointment, and this lady had her baby with her, and I can kind of see this brilliant green light in the baby's right in her chest, right in kind of the heart area. And it was just radiating this like just brilliant, bright emerald green color. And it was just incredibly vivid. And then there's this kind of big sphere kind of just around the heart. And I was like, oh, okay, there's part of the um that baby's soul that's there in the body. Not all of her, but at least part of her is there, and it was cool to see that. It was just so kind of pure, just kind of untainted and very bright, very vivid. I thought that was really cool to see. So I kind of look forward to seeing and experiencing that with our daughter, and just kind of being able to observe, um, oh, just how the soul kind of comes in sync with the body, and then maybe comes in different stages where one aspect might come into the body, into the heart early on, and then there might be a secondary aspect that will come later. So, and one you could say this is the heart and the mind, or the feeling self and the reasoning self. I'm kind of talking about kind of the feeling part, that very sensitive, powerful part of us coming in first, and then the other one coming in later. um, so that'll be interesting, just kind of observe that process. And so I'm really excited to be able to have these abilities on and it not just be about the physical, but also seeing the spiritual and that all come together. So yeah, if you're interested, we have a couple different YouTube channels, but one of ours is like kind of a travel channel called Souls Gone Wild. We've traveled in our fifth wheel RV full time for a couple of years off and on. So a lot of our adventures are on that channel, but we dropped the what was it, the kind of pregnancy announcement and gender reveal on that channel. But I'll leave that link in the description below if you want to check that out. It's kind of like Harry Potter themed. But yeah, this is the thing that we all have this ability. So um, if you're expecting, or maybe in the future would like to have a kid, or whatever the case is, even if it's not about communicating with baby beings, you can communicate with a deceased loved one or your spirit guides. So you can use clairaudience in a way, for many different reasons. There's different possibilities with that. But I like using clairvoyance and clairaudience so that, yeah, I might be hearing what they're saying, but I also can kind of see them. And you can see them in different ways. Sometimes you just kind of see them in just the pure kind of essence that they are as just pure awareness, and sometimes you see them in form and back and forth. So, but it's nice to kind of be able to see and hear simultaneously. Um, but yeah, this is an ability we can all develop. It's not really an ability that we focus on in a lot of the trainings that we teach. We do highlight things like telepathy and clairaudience, those fifth chakra abilities. Really, the main focus of what we teach is clairvoyance. But we do highlight other abilities. Um, but yeah, if you're interested in learning, just tapping more into your psychic abilities, we start off with a basic meditation series, and then we kind of have other options after that, typically a clairvoyant training, and then other graduate level programs. But I'll leave that just link in the description below as well. If you have any questions or comments, maybe, I don't know, if you're watching this and you're psychic and you've had your clairaudience on or even a different ability and you've been able to communicate with kind of in a similar manner, maybe with your child to be, share that with in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear that. So anyway, hope this was helpful in some way, and I'll see you next video. Take care.